Right, so we're live, and it looks like we've got a half-decent picture on my iPhone for a change, which is handy. Hello there, welcome along. This has turned into a little bit of a impromptu thing, so I'll let a couple of people get into the Hangout first, or let you into the join us. We are going to be talking about Saturday panels today. This is the last one of these we're going to be doing. We've done Thursday and preview night, we've done Friday. Now we're doing Saturday panels. We've got a viewer in already. Hello there. We've got two viewers. Hello, welcome along. Jump in on the Q&A on YouTube. Let us know what you've seen in the panels, anything that's jumped out at you. In terms of other questions, we're going to leave those pretty much alone until tonight's show. And of course, we're going to go over Sunday's panels pretty much on the fly. Those are my favorite ones. The ones where we haven't even analyzed it or had a look or just dive straight in. Those are my favorites because we kind of get surprised, and that's the way it should be. So it's cool. The other thing as well is I usually refer to, and you'll be seeing screen shares of an Englishmaninsandiego.com for the page, the venue overviews that I've done of the rooms. I haven't done 6A, 6BCF, and 6DE yet because this house is bedlam at the moment. We fly tomorrow morning and we have still got last minute packing and stuff to do. So it's a bit of a mess at the moment, but I have managed to catch up with some stuff and I'll be doing the rest this afternoon. But in the meantime, I do have Hall H, Ballroom 20 and Indigo. So I say we pick one each. We've got Natasha with us. Hello, Natasha. How are you?
Hello.
From the Nerd Element. And we also have Alyssa from the Friends of Comic-Con Forum. Hello, Alyssa. So, who wants to pick what? Because I keep doing Hall H. I keep doing the big room. So, tell you what, Natasha can do Hall H.
Okay, and I just pick one panel from that.
You go down the list and we talk it through and we start from the top. I don't know if you can see it on screen. Tell you what, we'll let screen share this now, so at least you can see it. So, yes, it's our Hall H programming. And, yeah, you can let us know your thoughts on this. So we start
with Warner
at
Brothers.
11:30.
That's a little late. But...
Isn't it just?
See, yeah, I'll get into a whole diatribe about camping out, and I'm just like, I can't. All right, so Warner Brothers Pictures presentation. They recently announced the movies that they're doing, which was, one of them was Blade Runner, Justice League, of course, and was it Ready Player One?
Really?
Yeah.
Cool. Where did they announce that?
They announced it like, yeah, SDCC blog like put a post about Warner Brothers bringing stuff, the movies that they're bringing.
Well, we know about the off-site stuff. It's whether they're going to be bringing them to the actual panel. That's the thing.
Dateline also announced.
Has Dateline gone for it? Okay.
Yeah, they've also announced that Justice League, Aquaman,
Aquaman,
Blade Runner, Ready Player One, will be part of the Saturday lineup at WB.
Fair enough. And if anyone's going to know, it's going to be them.
Exactly.
No disrespect to the unofficial blog, and they do have their contacts and they know what they're talking about. But when it comes to announcements, I'm one of those guys that prefer it to come from either the WB or one of the big sites, and Deadline is definitely up there. So no, yeah, that makes sense. Okay, cool, excellent stuff. So that's going to be an exciting panel. I'm also thrilled about the length of it as well. It's a 2-hour panel. That's they're spending some time on this. They're not just going to rush through.
I'm wondering you'll have to help me, Leonard, with the pronunciation of the director of Blade Runner's name, Villeneuve.
Louis Villeneuve, yes.
The director of Arrival. I'm wondering if he's going to be at the panel. To be honest with you, that's the person that I would really love to see, him and Harrison Ford. But I will, from what Dateline Hollywood is saying, Ryan Gosling is going to be there, Anna de Armas, Sylvia Hoek, and Wonder Woman alum Robin Wright and Lenny James
Okay.
will be there, and Mackenzie Davis. So I don't know if they're also in the Blade Runner.
Sorry?
I'm not sure if they're also in the Blade Runner. Does anybody know?
Well, I mean, the one person that's definitely missing from what you've said there was Jared Leto, who is starring in the film. It's curious to see what if he's going to be showing up. But no, okay. I mean, even so, I mean, that's still quite the lineup, and to have Harrison Ford rock back up in Hall H is always fun. So okay,
it does say that Villeneuve will be there, also be present, and that there's going to be a multimedia experience in the gas lamp, Blade Runner multimedia experience in the gas lamp. So I'm glad to see that WB is promoting this one heavily, as opposed to just hanging back and letting everybody, letting the name carry it, and they're actually out there promoting it and getting the buzz going amongst us.
Absolutely. Okay, Natasha, you want to carry
on? Then we have Entertainment Weekly, Women's Kick Ass. That's at 2:00, so they're leaving like at least a half an hour between Warner Brothers and Entertainment Weekly, and they're featuring Charlize Theron. And they're pretty much going to talk about her career. There may be some other folk that are going to drop in, but they're going to talk about her new movie, Atomic Blonde.
It's 45 minutes. It's simple enough. It's in and out. There's a lot to talk about. It's a hell of a career.
Yeah, she has.
Right. There is that half an hour gap. I'm wondering if we'll be seeing the return of Trailer Park. We haven't had Trailer Park for a couple of years. So who knows? No, I mean, she appeared on the 2001 panel for Prometheus, and she was being interviewed by Damon Lindelof, and she held her own. I mean, she can quite easily hold a whole panel. So, I mean, I think anyone could quite easily have her just talk about Mad Max for 45 minutes. You know what I mean? I think, it's someone. I'm kind of upset that it's not a full-blown Women Who Kick Ass panel, because I think getting all of that perspective on the industry, I think it's an important panel, and I'm glad that it's done by Eddie Ibrahim and the Hall H crew in that big room. But okay.
Then we have Netflix's Stranger Things. So the cast and the creators are going to be talking about season 2, and they're going to be showing never before seen footage. So that should be exciting.
It's just the hell of a show. It's yeah. I'd like to get in the Q&A. I'd like to get into the questions for that, into the question list, if anything, so I can just ask them the time machine that you clearly built to film this series, because there's no way you didn't go back in time to film this back in the 80s. I'd like to know how it was invented. Is it patented? I don't know. But no, it's a hell of a show.
They've definitely captured the 80s very well.
Yeah.
Then we have.
Then you've got a mega panel.
Yes. Westworld panel and Q&A session. So they'll definitely be talking about the next season, and Jonathan Nolan and Lisa Joy will be part of the lineup, as well as, oh Lord, it's not letting me. I'm going to read it. The cast panelists include Ben Barnes, Ingrid Boyce-Berdal, Ed Harris, Luke Hemsworth as Stubbs, James Marsden, Thandie Newton, Simon Quartermain as Lee Sizemore, Rodrigo Santoro. Pretty much it looks like the entire lineup. Angela.
Jeffrey Wright, Evan Rachel Wood, Shannon Woodward. It's the
full cast.
Pretty much the full cast.
That's a nice lineup.
That for price of admission
that's
alone.
Very tempting.
Yeah.
Does that say Naomi Watts? Oh, Reggie Watts. I'm like, what? I was like, what? She's going to be in season 2. She already has her own show, Gypsy. Is it Gypsy? I think it's Gypsy. On Netflix. All right. And then, of course, we have Marvel Studios. Kevin Feige and special guests provide an inside look at the ever-expanding Marvel Cinematic Universe. So I'm guessing Thor Ragnarok, which is coming up, Infinity Wars, hopefully Black Panther, but I'm hoping to
Captain Marvel.
Yeah, Captain Marvel.
Admittedly, nothing's been shown of that, but we may get a little sizzle thing like we've had before, which would be nice.
Just something.
Yeah.
Even if it's like a teaser trailer or something. Yeah. I'm hoping to do Black Panther at D23, so I don't have to worry about this.
Yeah, that's the question, isn't it? It's about what they're going to bring to D23 first. I mean, we'll obviously find out next weekend, but the second that panel finishes, then we'll find out what they're going to bring to Comic-Con. Admittedly, nothing from D23 gets streamed. All phones are taken out. You can't get a mobile phone in that room.
It's like the only proof that you're there is if you talk about it.
Yeah.
And it's like, that's crazy, but I understand.
So I think it's safe to say that Hall H is not a walk-in throughout the course of the day. It's definitely going to be a show where you're going to have to put the effort in and make the investment, especially for any of these panels. You're going to have to put some time in. That's just the nature of the beast. They've just absolutely gotten top shelf on this. Go on, Alyssa, you're looking like.
But it seems as though that since WB has made the announcement of what's coming, they've just ramped it up. You know, everybody's like, "Oh yes, I'm going into Hall H." Yeah. Whereas before it was kind of like, I don't know what I'm doing on Saturday. The WB announcement just took it to the next level. I was one of the next rooms that I was thinking about doing was Indigo Ballroom myself.
Indigo Ballroom is definitely a nice lineup for Saturday. Like, I would probably want to stay in there all day.
Well, I'll tell you what, let's lock into that. Who wants to take it? Go for it.
Alyssa, go for it, Alyssa.
Go for it, Alyssa. It's all you.
Yeah. So first off, we've got Saturday morning cartoons, and then the Cartoon Network with Ben 10. And then we start getting into the scripted shows, more reality scripted shows with the originals. And the highly
again, let's just go through include the times as well. So that's the originals at 12 till 1.
Mm-hmm, absolutely. Help me here. I think that the originals, they are wrapping up they should
be wrapping up. Unfortunately, I haven't been catching up with the show, but they should be wrapping up soon, if anything. Because they started their season kind of late this year. They didn't start like the beginning of fall. They started like, I think, in the spring. And I don't think they've ordered as many episodes, but that's a Kim question.
Well, that's for the 5th season, they're going to be presenting their show. Romance. Well, there air mid-season on the CW, the originals. The 4th season is available on DVD. Then we get into Krypton, which, I mean, this is where it starts to get serious for me. I'm really interested to see what happens with Krypton. A lot of people are. It's getting a lot of buzz. It's produced by David Goyer. And scripted television, WB, based on the DC characters. But it's nice to see that they're kind of taking it back to before he came and giving him a little bit more of an origin, which I think Superman I think it's a good thing that we're kind of seeing a little bit more depth to him, because he is one of the premier characters in the DC universe. And it would be nice to get a better idea about him. Then
that's the thing about this panel, which as Andrew Dickinson's quite rightly pointed out, it's only a half an hour panel. So there's not a great deal to what we're actually going to see. It's 11.
It seems to be a special video presentation.
Well, that means you could have a cast waving for 5 seconds.
Right.
Yeah,
I was hoping we'd get the first. We'd get a pilot.
well, didn't we? Well, we do. We're going to see the pilot on preview night.
Right.
So this is literally going to be smile and wave. Nobody's actually confirmed either. So even David Goyer is not confirmed he's going to be there. So we've no idea who's actually going to be on that panel. So it could, I mean, when it says video presentation, it could literally just be smile and wave and a sizzle reel.
You make a very good point, because the next couple of shows are also that way with Lucifer and Gotham.
All the CW stuff, isn't it?
And the Magicians and Expanse.
Oh, right, okay.
Which is the two. No, actually, I stand corrected. Magicians and the Expanse, which are the sci-fi shows that are a full 50 minutes.
No, they're 40 minutes.
Okay.
The 40 minutes. It's 150 to 250 for Lucifer, so that's an hour. You've got 250 to 350 for Gotham, that's an hour. You've got 4 till 450, 50 minutes, which is odd. That's the Magicians, and then
the Expanse.
Which is 50 minutes as well.
So it's going to be interesting to see what they actually do, and I would expect a difference between the Lucifer and Gotham panel versus a Magicians and Expanse panel, since they're produced by different organizations. Also, keep in mind, we had a discussion yesterday about this on the Sci-Fi Channel, that they do have that special panel. I believe it was in Ballroom 20. But we don't really know what's going to happen. The speculation was that it might be Buffy, courtesy of your lovely wife, Caroline.
I'm not buying it. I'm sorry.
I'm sorry?
I'm not buying it. It's going to be a Buffy panel. I just don't see it.
But we may, it may end up being that we see that these two panels, the Magicians and Expanse panel, are a little bit limited. It's interesting to note that at New York Comic-Con, they also packaged Magicians and Expanse together, both in the press room.
Yes, they did.
Both in the
it's a sci-fi thing, isn't it? It's very much, they've blocked out that 2 hours for sci-fi content.
Both for in the press rooms and in their presentation at one of the larger theaters.
If I recall correctly, sorry to interrupt. I think the Magicians and the Expanse usually air on the same night too. Am I wrong?
It's definitely a joint package, isn't it?
Yeah.
Speaking of the Sci-Fi Channel, I was able to catch a show on there. I forget what show last night. They really are doing a different type of marketing, geared much more towards science fiction people, sci-fi fans and fandoms. I'm hopeful that this rebranding is a serious thing. So it's still out. We still don't know quite yet, but it really seemed as though that they were targeting fandoms and sci-fi shows. So we'll see how that goes. Anyway, followed up by the Guild 10th anniversary reunion panel.
Did not see this coming.
It is 10 years, and I met the majority of them at AwesomeCon, because Amy Okuda canceled at the last minute, but the rest of them were there. So I got a chance to go to their panel. So if I missed this one, then I'm fine. But yeah, it was a fun panel at AwesomeCon, and I'm expecting Amy Okuda to probably be there. So if anything, I would probably go there just to see Amy Okuda, because I didn't get a chance to see her at AwesomeCon.
Well, Felicia Day, Sandy Part, I can't pronounce the name, Jeff Lewis, Robin Thorson, Vince Cassio, and Amy, as you said. So it should be, from what you're saying, if you didn't see it at AwesomeCon, it sounds like it'll be a fun panel. I gotta say, I don't know. What do you think? You think the room's going to empty out after the Expanse?
No,
I don't think so. No, because
you're going to get a tag team.
Okay.
I think we've been kind of judging whether some panels should deserve the rooms that they've got, and I think this is an ideal Indigo panel. It's a very intense fandom. It's a lot of people that love this show, and yeah, I think they'll do a good job of filling that room out.
There were folks lining up early at AwesomeCon. So
I mean, we're not talking Buffy. Yeah, we're not talking Buffy here, but we are talking a passionate fan base.
Absolutely. Follow and the last show of the night is Broad City. Is an odd couple comedy about two best friends navigating their 20s in New York City. The Broad City girls.
The odd couple meets Sex in the City, then.
Or Two Broke Girls.
Which is a show I just can't understand how it got past two seasons. I just don't get that show at all.
So perhaps if you're interested and need something to do at 7 o'clock at night, you'll be able to walk in.
Yeah, okay. I mean, if I was in that room all day, I would leave after the guild.
Yeah.
Yep.
I you know what? I'm planning on doing Hall H. I'm tempted to go from Hall H across to Indigo just to see what the room's like. Out of morbid curiosity.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't be a bit surprised if people were camping out for Indigo. Haven't they been doing that the last few years?
Yeah.
For this lineup with what they've got, the sci-fi shows, the CW shows, Lucifer, Krypton, it seems like a no-brainer that they're going to camp. But we'll see. It depends on what this whole special video presentation thing is.
I think for those four, the originals, Krypton, Lucifer, and Gotham, that's the one you are going to have to queue up for. Because that's also that's Ballroom 20 kind of volume. And indeed, it's the kind of thing that you would expect to see in Ballroom 20. So if you are an Originals fan, if you are a Krypton fan, you better bone up on your Saturday morning cartoons, because that's where you're going to be.
But I think that's a nice beginning, because let's be for real, all of us grew up on Saturday morning cartoons, and so that's a nice throwback before we get into the present with the supernatural and all this other in sci-fi. Like, seriously, I'm fine.
Yeah. Very quickly, let's go through a couple of comments that's coming in on the Q&A. Andrew Dickinson, Indigo on the Saturday last year was only 75% for the first three panels. I think that's not going to be the case this time round, purely because of what you've got later on. I think it's going to fill up pretty early, if indeed a nice, healthy lineup, an early queue for that. Epic Skyline, Broad City is such a weird dot for Comic-Con. It's one of those huge millennial shows that may have a small crossover with the Comic-Con crowd. It's a weird fit. Yeah, I totally agree. That's pretty much what we agree. Little Red Ruby as well. Hello there. How are you doing? Talking about Hall H, it's a very late start. It's going to suck after camping all night for that. 11:30.
Yeah.
You kind of hope there's something before that, just as a surprise. A surprise panel? That'd be nice. I would like that. And also talking about Jared and why he's not going to be there. He's on tour with his band. So yeah, 30 Seconds to Mars are on tour at the moment. So there we go. Lots of people concerned about these half-hour panels. An Epic Skyline, I didn't get a Saturday pass this year. Aside from Hall H, which I wouldn't attempt anyway, there's not much I'd want to see. I wish we'd have more off-site panels, though, so I could fill my schedule, which is kind of understandable.
Yeah, and Nerd HQ was a good...
it's a good place to go, yeah.
It was a good place, a substitute, really, for those that maybe didn't have everyday passes or passes for all of the days at con.
Sorry, we said Hall H then. We meant Geek and Sundry and Carnival and Nerd HQ. Sorry, yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, Nerd HQ was a good filler for that, but they're not there this year, so there's that.
We'll have to see what they're going to do. Lee and D, I just wanted to see The Expanse, but no way I'm camping for all that. You know what?
There may be a clearing out.
I get the feeling, yeah. Once Gotham's done, you're going to get a massive exodus. The Magicians has its fan base, but it's not that big.
Plus,
I think you're going to be able. I think you're going to be okay.
Right. Plus,
I think you'd like. I think if you're going to want to get in for the Expanse, queue up for the Magicians, sit through Magicians, and then do Expanse.
I will say, having seen both of these panels and having met a number of these people, that both of the panels are very interesting. The Magician,
yes, they are.
Even if you're not really a fan of the Magicians, they've got enough performers so they make it interesting. Certainly at New York, they did. I think they opened with a rap,
a dance number. Yes, it was awesome.
Yeah, that was amazing. So they tend to bring it. Plus, they had some great swag at the New York show. So who knows? You know, maybe a ticket. You know, for a swag giveaway at up top. But you never know. You know, I'm not going to make predictions on that. However, it's entertaining. They're entertaining shows.
Cool.
Yeah, and oh my gosh, I know this person's name, but she moderated because she's a fan, and I was surprised that she was even a fan. So in New York, and so I'm hoping that she actually moderates this one for San Diego. But she just quit the talk. I'm going blank on her name. Why? I'm a fan of hers.
It's a talk show in America. Don't bother asking me.
So, you know, if you have some time, I'd suggest going over there and just checking to see. And failing anything else, there's a Starbucks close by, so you can grab a bite too, if the line isn't too long in the middle part of the day. Yeah. So.
Epic
Aisha Tyler. Hello.
In the Magicians, all the behind-the-scenes stuff on Sci-Fi makes them seem really funny.
Aisha Tyler, that's who it is.
Oh, is it? Was it Aisha? Okay.
Yes.
No. The thing is about Aisha, she did the Warner Brothers panel 2 years ago. Was it 2 years ago? And she fangirled a little bit too much. It was just a little bit too much, to the point where I think she actually ran off stage to have a selfie taken. We're going, okay, could you? We came to see this stuff, please. You know, help us out. Okay, so there's some movement there when it comes to ballroom to Indigo, which for the later panels you've got a little bit of movement. Certainly to get into that. We've already determined that Hall H is going to be a real tough sell to get in. You're going to invest the time. Likewise with Ballroom 20, which has got a demon lineup. Okay, starting at 10 o'clock, ABC's Once Upon a Time, the executive producers and showrunners. You've got the executive producer, David H. Goodman, and you've got cast members showing up, not confirmed as yet, but I understand that a lot of them have been talking on social media about whether they're going to be going, so that we have been getting a sense of who is going to be appearing for that panel. And it's going to be moderated by Yvette Nicole Brown, who's always a giggle.
Oh, nice.
Huge fan. So that's going to be fun.
Adorable.
Basically, from this entire day, this is going to be hard work. Right, so ABC Once Upon a Time. 10 to 10:45, you've got Riverdale, which is another intense fandom, right up there with, in my mind, Twin Peaks. You've got that very same. Indeed, it is the new Twin Peaks for 2017.
Twin Peaks for teens.
Twin Peaks for teens, but I just didn't expect to ever say that.
I didn't expect how much I would like Riverdale, to be honest. And now I'm like hooked, and I'm just like, what the hell?
Indeed. Simpsons is always a fun panel. Family Guy, American Dad, they're always fun. I know it seems like a strange fit to stick inside the room, but they always entertain. And I know that people are getting tired of The Simpsons. I will never get tired of The Simpsons. I'm sorry, guys. I'm one of those people that will be a Simpson. You cut me through. I am, even the later seasons, I don't care. There's still stuff in there. It's still funny. I think
it. The Simpsons is just a staple. And I think for that particular lineup that day, I think that's a good filler. Because again, The Simpsons has just been around like forever. People grew up on The Simpsons. Some people maybe occasionally catch episodes of the newer episodes. And then I'm not really a fan of Family Guy and American Dad, but I think the cast, I think one time when I was in there all day for Ballroom 20, they were hilarious. So, I mean, I can't knock it. It's a good filler, if anything.
Oh, overall, Ballroom 20 seems to be, you've got your blocks. You've got your early morning block of Riverdale and the other show. And then you've got your animation block. And then you've got, your CW block later on in the day. So they seem like they're really kind of breaking things up and maybe helping the room get cleared a little bit.
Yeah.
That's kind of the sense I get with this. So can I introduce the next one, because it's, if anybody has if anybody can get me into Star Trek Discovery,
I'm kind of right in there with you. Like, I want to go in and then quickly go out. Like, if anything, I just want to take pictures and then just bounce, because I'm I just
I mean, I would take off from Hall H and go in and see, just catch 20 minutes of Discovery, because Anyway, that last trailer that they put out was phenomenal, and it actually gave me some hope that the series is going to be decent. I would love a decent Trek series again. Just to introduce, it's going to be at 2:30 to 3:15. Star Trek Discovery. Leonard, take it away.
Yeah, okay. Same drill. It's going to be interesting, but I think a lot of the stuff that you're going to see on the stage is going to be leaked out, so we're going to see it on the internet. But just to get to see the cast for the first time, it's going to be an interesting panel. Is that 3:30? Well, pretty much from here on in, it's the CW stuff, and they only got half-hour panels, which for one of them, I think is a major disappointment. Supergirl, which is a special video presentation. By the way, none of the cast have been confirmed for these panels, so we don't know who's going to be showing up for them. Supergirl, DC's Legends of Tomorrow between 4:10 and 4:50. I'm going to skip one for a second and come back to it. 5:10 to 5:50 is the Flash. 5:50 to 6:30 is Arrow. So it's basically what you used to have. You remember when the CW did a DC thing on the evening, or DC had an evening show in Hall H? It's that in Ballroom 20.
Pretty much.
So
and earlier in the day.
Right.
And earlier, which I think is good, because I thought you've got when they did it in Hall H and they did it after all a full day of Hall H, everyone was shattered, man. Everyone was just falling apart. No, it's good that I think they kind of realized to give it its own sense, and in Ballroom 20 it certainly is an ideal fit. But the one that I think is the disappointment is between 4:50 and 5:10, just half an hour on Black Lightning, which is a show which has got a massive amount of anticipation. There's a lot riding on this show for what it can bring to the CW on many levels. It's introducing a cast, and I think half an hour just won't cut it, in my mind.
I agree.
I think
it's a little bit disappointing. I mean, for real, if they could just slash off Legends of Tomorrow, I think I would have been given it the rest of it to Black Lightning. I think I would be happy.
Yeah.
Or put Star Trek Discovery in Hall H and take that time and expand, because that's an odd one.
Actually,
as much as
Andrew Dickinson's quite right. I thought it was half an hour. So you're absolutely right. It's 20 minutes.
Oh Lord, no.
10 to 5, 10 past 5. It's 20 minutes. Actually, sorry, I miscounted. I thought it was half an hour. Wow.
That's a little bit disappointing.
You're going to get the trailer played twice.
Pretty much.
That's ridiculous.
And maybe just maybe they'll have a bigger presence at New York. I don't know, but that's a little bit disappointing.
Yeah. So for the rest of the panels, it's same old, same old. It's them going to be rocking up and waving and doing their usual thing. I'm certain Steve Amell will do his job of whipping up the crowd as per usual, and I'm certain there'll be a bunch of people in the room that would like to be whipped by Stephen Amell. So
Wow.
yeah. That's gonna be fun.
I actually happened to catch him on the American Ninja Warrior. They did a celebrity edition a while ago, and he does bring it. I mean, he spends a lot of time on his physique, so it's not all smoke and mirrors with him. So
oh yeah, he did phenomenal on that course. Yeah. Like I think he could have kept going, but he did he made it to the next level. Like he was going to keep going.
Yeah. So just, when we talk about, oh, they're faking the fighting scenes and they're not really doing it. This is, at least with Arrow, it's one of the shows where he does his own stunts.
Sure.
A lot of them anyway. Yeah. There is some that still includes the stunt double, but probably not as much as probably other shows.
Sabrina Jackson, I have my pictures of him from the last 2 years. She doesn't describe, or she doesn't mention where those pictures are, if they've been blown up as posters or anything, or if she just has printed them up on a life-size doll. I don't know. I'll leave that to your imagination. But Sabrina, I hope the pair of you are very happy. Cool. And then there's a bit of a gap. You've got yourself 2 hours while they break the room down, hose the stage down or whatever needs to happen in Ballroom 20, because 8:30 while 11:30 you do have the Comic-Con International Masquerade. I don't believe it's been announced yet. It's saying that overflow seating is available in the sales pavilion. That doesn't say that they're actually going to be doing the bar again this year, which they do a simulcast to 5AB, 6A, and Sales Pavilion. But I don't know if they're going to be doing the whole bar disco thing again. I don't think that's been announced yet for the International Masquerade.
Always a fun time.
And that is Ballroom 20. So what do we think? That's just going to be a real tough day to get into.
Yeah. All of those rooms are going to be a little bit difficult. Now, they're going to take time. You may have to camp out. Like, if you want to get super close, yes, you're going to have to put the time in. But if you just want to get in the room, you may be able to maybe line up early in the morning, but maybe not chance it.
Yeah. I think you're looking at an early morning start for these.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just going to be, certainly, I mean, once upon a time, you're going to be in, you're looking at a very early morning for that. Camping out, well, you're going to get people camping out, of course. It's just a case of how many are going to be intense enough to take this on. And I think these have big enough fandoms. I think the headlines for me, Star Trek Discovery, people just are eager for this show. So it's a 45-minute panel, but it's going to be enough to just whet everyone's appetite. Riverdale, I think, is going to be the one that could really put the spanner in the works, because it's a very popular show. It's just a case of, how you're going to sort of negotiate around that. And then, of course,
people very well may clear out after Riverdale. So, and, you may be able to, since there is so much counter programming happening at other venues, other halls on Saturday, you may be able to line up for Family Guy and see Star Trek Discovery. Given the fact that the CW shows are basically, as somebody said on the Q&A, walk on stage and wave and walk off stage kind of events. So for the later Black Lightning, Flash, Arrow, those kinds of things. Seems like the next series of rooms to discuss are the six rooms, 6A. 6 BCF,
Sure.
and 6
Well,
DE.
we'll quickly blast through then. We'll start with 6A. 10 o'clock, creating animation content for Univision targeting millennial families. It's a big, strong, long bunch of words. You've got 11:15, SpongeBob SquarePants, The Legend of Bikini Bottom, which is going to be a stop-motion special produced for Halloween. You're going to get a sneak peek of the episode, and you're also going to have a live table read from Tom Kenny, Phil Fagerback, Roger Bumpass, and Carolyn Lawrence. Also featuring a special appearance by some of the spookiest citizens. That's just going to be interesting. It's just going to be a fun panel. 12:30, you've got Marvel Animation Presents, which is definitely going to be focusing around the brand new Marvel Spider-Man. But you're also going to have sequences on Marvel's Avengers Secret Wars and the Guardians of the Galaxy. None of the cast, but you are going to be having the showrunners and also the kind of high-ups of Marvel Animation talking about that. So, yeah, it's more the nuts and bolts of putting the show together. I'm not too sure how appealing that's going to be, but hopefully if they bring enough clips, that could be cool. Lego Marvel Superheroes 2, Meet the Talent Behind the Video Game. That's at 1:45. Ryan Penagos is going to be the moderator of that. It's all the content behind the actual the video game. So you may see some game clips, but there's going to be more screen caps, I think, up on the stage. Then you have Marvel with the oddest lineup, and one I just did not expect to see coming up. Black Eyed Peas, Masters of the Sun, a futuristic retro b-boy zombie thriller. Okay, did someone spike my tea?
Yes, I just called up a picture of it, and it looks it looks fun. You know, it looks like it could be an interesting mashup of music and graphic novel kind of thing. If you know it, so who knows? That's one of those little mystery.
Let me just finish reading this off. Hang on.
Sure.
Masters
Okay.
of the Sun mixes LA gang culture, b-boyism, and Egyptology to tell the heroic tale of a hip-hop group from East LA who must battle an ancient god that's turning black drug dealers and gangsters into zombies. Join will.i.am, Taboo, and Apple the App from Black Eyed Peas to discuss the experience.
Yes.
Hey, that could be a little nugget.
Yeah,
it seems really fun.
Absolutely. And then followed up by the panel after it. It's like that wonderful little, segment of joy stuck right in the middle of animation. So, who knows?
And then you've got the Orville.
Yes. I was like, what? What?
Now, admittedly, this is going to be the one where people are going to be camping out for, if not camping out, a major queue for 6A because the cast list is off the chain. Admittedly, Seth MacFarlane is not lined up for this panel, which is... Oh, no, yes, he is. No, he's on. I tell a lie. Get it right. Seth MacFarlane, Adrian Padalecki, Scott Grimes, Penny Johnson-Gerald, Peter McCon, Halson Sage, Jay Lee, Mark Jackson, and Chad Coleman, as well as David Goodman and Brannon Braga, my man. As a Star Trek Next Gen fan, he's my boy. So no, you've definitely got some real kind of heavyweight talent behind this show, which I'm thrilled about. But that's going to be the one I think people are going to be investing in the seats to make sure they're in the room. So they are going to be sitting through SpongeBob. They're going to be sitting through Marvel superheroes. They're going to be sitting through Black Eyed Peas.
Well, it's kind of interesting that they put the Black Eyed Peas right before the Orville. That'll get a lot of exposure for that Black Eyed Peas comic.
Yeah.
Yes, I think that's a very good move on their part.
Yeah, on the programming and or Marvel's part, absolutely, that's brilliant. Which is good. I'm glad that they're doing that, and they're looking at cross-pollinating fan cultures, fandoms. That's wonderful.
And then
followed.
Then you got a panel at 5:30, which is also going to pull some fans out of the woodwork, because you do have a hell of a cast on there. Vincent D'Onofrio, Kim Coates, Avan Jogia, Candice McClure, and Meatloaf is going to be there. Hello, Meatloaf. Hi, Meat. Hi, Mrs. Loaf. Is your meat playing out? So yeah, that's going to be a fun panel as well. But I'm curious to see how that's going to be as a horror series following all of the rest of it.
Right. It says Dateline has got it's set in a remote Alaskan town that has been overrun by paranormal forces. The series focuses on local outcast Roman Mercer, who must overcome the town's prejudices and his own personal demons to harness his repressed psychic power and save everyone from mass haunting that threatens to destroy them all.
There's another show that sounds like this, and it's not Helix.
It's Midnight Texas, but
there's another show that sounds vaguely familiar to this. But no, okay. Let's see. Ghost. I mean, let's put it this way: with a title like Ghost Wars, they're setting their stall out. That's yeah.
Hey,
yeah, that definitely seems like a show that I would try and watch, and it's actually kind of mixing like fantasy, supernatural, and like horror, which I think sci-fi has been doing a pretty good job of lately, bringing shows that kind of have that mix. Or just plain horror. I think that's interesting that sci-fi is trying to do that.
Yeah, it feeds into the sci-fi rebranding of actually doing shows that we want to see, which is great, absolutely great. And the last show of the day, Leonard.
Yep, which is no. This is a nice little crossover with the Ghost Wars panel, which is the conversation between David Duchovny and Dirk Maggs. David is always worth interest just to check out. He's always a nice dry wit. How he's going to be without bouncing off Gillian Anderson is going to be interesting. But Dirk Maggs, obviously, they're going to have a lot of history, because obviously as a director of X-Files, and also producing Cold Cases. Yeah, there's going to be some history there, so they're going to have a lot of fun talking about the X-Files. Although I think a lot of people would have preferred to have somebody else up on stage from the cast just to kind of round things out. Cool. Let's see. Our next, the 6BCF is the one. Well, I'll tell you what. Very quickly, let's talk about 6A in terms of moving people around. I think obviously the Orville is going to attract a lot of attention. David Duchovny as well is going to get a fair whack. I think a lot of people are going to show up for the Black Eyed Peas just out of sheer curiosity.
Yeah. I would if I wasn't already an Indigo Ballroom. Although it just seems like there's a really good lineup for Saturday, and conflicts are really about like it's going to be like what's more important to you. I've experienced Hall H, so I feel like that's not a priority for me. And I think this is where, like, if you've been going for years, your priorities shift. So like if you've seen the DC lineup in Ballroom 20, you may not care. It's fun, but then you can like move to Indigo Ballroom or some of the other rooms instead of one more person lining up or camping out.
Plenty. Yeah. We're going to go through. There's plenty to check out. Let's very quickly go through 6BCF. You've got 10:30 Talks Machina with the cast of Critical Role. D&D gets its own panel, baby. A lot of people excited about this, and that's going to fill that room quite easily. I'd even say that would even possibly have been a 6A panel. I think that deserves that could have been a bigger room, or needing a bigger room. But then again, at the end of the day, as has been mentioned several times, it's sometimes the studios and the organizers that request these rooms, because at least then they can turn around and say, we filled this room out. And that's definitely going to happen with that.
I thought
Matthew Mercer's going to be there. Yay.
Sorry. I thought 6BCF was bigger than 6A.
It should be.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because it's a combination of like 3 rooms.
Exactly.
I was under the impression it's slightly, if it's not the same, it's slightly smaller. Okay, I do apologize, but okay. You've then got a quick draw, which is Marc Evanier, which is going to be having a art off, as it were, between Sergio Aragons and Scott Shaw, both of them special guests.
That should be fun.
That should be an awesome panel.
That looks like fun.
I've been going to a lot of these quick draw panels over the course of the last couple of years, and I've been getting addicted to them actually because they are a lot of fun. Andrew Dickinson BCF is 2,160, so yeah, it's slightly bigger. Let's have a look. Keep going. Cartoon Voices 1, which is Marc Evanier again. You have Greg Griffin from Scooby-Doo, Richard Horowitz from Invader Zim, Jeff Bergman from Bugs Bunny, Mark Wingert from Kung Fu Panda, Caitlin Robot from Mr. Pickles, Josh Robert Thompson from Family Guy, and also The Late Late Show from Craig Ferguson. He's the robot. He was the robot on The Late Show, which I was a fan of. So no, that's going to be an interesting panel. That's at 1 o'clock.
I've always wanted to go to that panel, and it just hasn't happened yet.
Yeah, it's an hour and a half. It's a big panel for that. You then got Happy, which is the new graphic novel from Grant Morrison and Derek Robertson, which is going to be a new show from Sci-Fi. We were talking about this, about what Sci-Fi's standalone panel could be. At the end of the day, most of the Sci-Fi content is getting its own showcase, and Happy is one of them. Cast and crew are going to be showing up for that. So that's a 2:45. Again, another big. It's an hour panel. It's going to be a nice big slice of that show. Midnight Texas, which is the series premiere, which I would have actually thought we were going to get on preview night. But then again, it's a Universal Universal Television. It's NBC, so it's not the WB.
I think the reason for that is they've been to New York. They've premiered in New York. They've also premiered at WonderCon, and even though this is the final push, I think all of the cast is going to be there for the final push. So I think they want to concentrate on the Q&A versus showing the episode.
Sure,
but that's just me. Peter Menzies in it, and I'm like, yes.
Cool.
Sorry.
No worries. Let's see. So that's going to be a popular panel, I think. TV Guide Magazine's fan favorites, always fun. You've got yourself, Damien Holbrook. This is right up there with Brave New Warriors. It would have been right up there with the Women Who Kick Ass panel. It's one of those, that's that trifecta of really good, fun panels which focus on just getting a hodgepodge of talent from a number of shows on one panel, which is always, I prefer those where you get a differing sense of approaches. You do have cast members from American Gods, Magicians, Shadowhunters, iZombie, and more. Nothing confirmed as yet, so we'll get that as we get closer to.
I'm confused because I could have sworn that used to be on Thursdays, but I haven't been there the last few years, so maybe they've moved it to Saturdays. And it used to be in Ballroom 20, was it not? Or am I thinking of another panel?
It was in Ballroom 20 about 5 years ago, and it was for once.
Oh, maybe that's what I'm thinking of then. Okay.
Yeah.
No. I happened to walk in on that, and I'm like, yay, this is fun.
Then we have at 6:30 through till 7:30, Hulu and Seth Rogen's Future Man. Obviously, Seth Rogen has had a massive hit with Preacher, and he's definitely getting into that sense of production and bringing new talent and new content to the screen. This is going to be for Hulu, and it's Kyle Hunter and Ariel Schaefer, who's the producers, and also his team behind Sausage Party. It's a bold action comedy about a janitor by day, gamer by night, who's recruited by mysterious visitors to travel through time and prevent the extinction of humanity. So, Tron with weed, probably. So, yeah. I mean, when it finishes the description of participating in a panel to discuss the series, time travel, and the global threat of oral herpes.
Yes.
You know what you're getting. It's Seth Rogen, for God's sake. So, yeah, you know what's going on. So, yeah, that's A room which I think there's going to be a lot of movement on. I don't think you're going to have to queue up too much. Obviously, that Midnight Texas, I think, is going to be quite popular. I think Happy is going to be quite popular. Critical Role, I think, is going to be the big panel of the day in that room. For me, I think that's the headliner here, and it starts pretty much straight off. I don't know if you two disagree.
I mean, Midnight Texas could draw a few people as well as TV Guide Magazine's fan favorites, just because if people have been to that panel before, they'll probably want to experience it again.
Okay. I mean, certainly, if we get a sense of who's going to be on it, I mean, considering that it's saying there cast members from American Gods, I know that Ricky Whittle is going to be on the Brave New Warriors panel. So I don't know if they want to repeat that sense. I don't know if I think there'll be more of a mixture of talent on that panel. And then Room 60E, very quickly to go through that. This is all a lot of DC stuff. DC's Justice for All at 10 o'clock, which is a panel featuring Dan Jurgens, Tom King, Steve Orlando, Joshua Williamson, John Semper Jr., Nicholas Scott. It's all the Justice League comic writers and talent at the moment. They have got a lot to talk about, considering how well Rebirth has done and what they've also got coming up, including stuff like Doomsday Clock as well from DC, and also Metal as well. Admittedly, this will be about how those characters will tie in to those core events that DC are bringing up in the next season. But yeah, that's a comics masterclass right there. DC Essential at 11:15. No names mentioned, but if you've got the talent from the 10 o'clock panel, I think you're going to have, again, quite a lot. But it's about everything DC. So it's also talking about the TV stuff as well. A little bit of a scattershot panel, perhaps, but if you're a DC fan, that's going to be the one. This is the one where the cosplayers are going to come out of the woodwork at 12:30. DC's Harley Quinn, celebrating 25 years. Yes, a character which just is now a mainstay of any comic convention, considering she started as a very low-key creation for the animated series. Yeah, it's a celebration of Harley Quinn. It's just going to be a lot of people being very, very enthusiastic. Which then leads me to think that perhaps you might get a clear out of. I think the kind of the cosplayers may take a fair chunk of that room. They're going to clear out again as we then get into the comics hardcore, when you've got Jim Lee celebrating 25 years of Wildstorm, Ryan Benjamin, Lee Bergemo, J. Scott Campbell, Carlos Devanda, Dustin Nugent, Sandra Hope. Whoa. I mean, Alyssa's face alone is just whoa. Yeah.
I'm looking at the following panels that are coming up in 6DE, and this is where the comic people will be. Yeah. There is no question. If you lead off with the Jim Lee panel, the Wildstorm panel, and then lead into the next one with Kirkman and McFarlane at 3:30. If anybody has not seen McFarlane, he is a joy to watch. He's one of those people that just takes the stage, and to play off of Kirkman.
This is why it's going to be an interesting panel, because Kirkman's had his own panel already this week. So I don't think it's going to be too much of a repeat of that. I would have actually liked to have seen an Image panel. And I don't know if we've got one. Oh no, we do. We do have an Image panel. It's on 7AB on the 1 o'clock. So they're going to be both of those are going to be on that panel and then scooting over for this. So yeah, I think the Image panel would be interesting to have the wide sense of talent in that room. But yeah, you're right. Kirkman and McFarlane are just motor mouths, and that hour is just going to fly. Oh yeah. Robert Kirkman sticks around for AMC's Visionaries, a secret. This is his documentary, The Secret History of Comics.
Yeah, this looks good. I'm getting into more and more documentaries on comics after the Bill Finger documentary that Hulu did earlier this year. It's not your standard Stan Lee Fantastic Four. This seems as though that it's going to go into more of the smaller stories, the untold stories. I believe it's a six-part show series airing on AMC.
I also get this sneaking suspicion as well, and certainly listening to a couple of interviews I've heard about this series, that it ain't going to be the shining, happy kind of documentary. It's going to get into some real grubby corners, and it's going to get it's going to stir up some dust. You've got yourself the comics code, the arguments, the backbiting, the whole business with Bill Finger, the whole business with Jack Kirby. I think it's going to get. He's not the kind of guy that's going to let this kind of stuff. Oh no, Kirkman, nope. So this and it's airing later on this year, I believe, and it's in 2017. So so this is would be a good precursor. I'd love to see this. If I wasn't in Hall H on Saturday, this would be one of those, and it is listed as one of my kind of interesting little panels to watch. If you decide against Hall H, this could be where you could find it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, DC Masterclass. Right, are you ready? I want to see Alyssa's face when I read this out. Okay, so Amanda Connor, Tony Daniel, Andy Kubert, Jim Lee, John Romita Jr., and a huge surprise guest. Who the hell could that be with that lineup?
Who's considered huge with that lineup?
Exactly.
I mean, well, and here's the thing. We have to remember that this was written before Stan Lee's wife passed.
The thing is, it's a DC panel.
Oh, sorry.
It's a DC panel. I don't think.
Yeah, never mind.
No. If it was a comics panel, which quite frankly it could be, it is just top shelf. Who the hell, short of actually digging up Jack Kirby and kind of attaching a couple of car batteries to him? Whoa.
Yep.
So that's 6/7. That's going to be a huge surprise guest. Oh, good God. Okay, so that's going to be fun. And then you've got at the end a really in-depth kind of panel, but still a lot of fun, which is a diverse group of entertainment's greatest names gathered to explore the changing landscape of comics, geekdom, and fanboy culture among African Americans, Latinos, women, special interest groups, and more. We are all heroes, the changing landscape of comics, geekdom, and fanboy culture. Now, we talked about this yesterday about some really politically charged and emotional panels in a very similar room. I think it was actually one of the 5 rooms which we talked about yesterday. This could be a panel would sit nicely in that programming, but it's interesting that it's been giving its own spotlight in 68, and I have personally no problem with that. That's going to be an interesting panel indeed. By the way, on the Q&A, if there's anything in terms of other rooms that you want us to have a quick look at, let us know. But I think that's going to be an interesting room. I just to get in and move around. What do you think, Alyssa?
Absolutely. If you're interested in comics, anything, starting perhaps, after the Harley Quinn panel, maybe you'll be able to get into the room.
That'll be your breather. Yeah.
Yeah. It's, cosplay. It's just cosplay, and it is different than the comics panel. So that's why I'm thinking there may be.
You are going to be getting into the animated series. You're going to be getting into Mad Love. You're going to be getting into Suicide Squad and the live action representation. But it is at the end of the day a celebration. So I can imagine. Oh, good grief! I'm trying to think who would be. Amanda Connor might be on that panel. Is Gail Simone going this year?
I thought I saw her someplace.
I think she's going to be in a few other panels. Gail Simone.
in that case, if she's not in the room, I'll be stunned. Yeah, that's going to be an interesting panel. Dan Berry, Stan has also contributed material to DC Comics. Yes, he has, but he's more of a Marvel guy. Let's be fair. So let's see how that works. Liam D. Yeah, Gail Simone is in town. That's where she'll be. She'll be in that room. So there we go. Okay. Right.
I have a bunch of hidden gems. If we want to get into that at this point, or if we want to do
go that. For it. Let's move on.
For sure. One hidden gem that has hit a number of our contributors to the thread is called Space, the Final Escape. It's at 10 a.m. in room 7AB. What is it about outer space that keeps us coming back to imagine the possibilities? Alien life forms, galaxies far away, technical dangers, space stations. You get a number of interesting authors. Claudia Gray, who wrote Defy the Stars, Nathan Hale, One Trick Pony, James S.A. Corey, Persephone Rising. And from The Expanse, which is kind of interesting to me that they didn't put that in there. And Andy Weir from Artemis. So it's, kind of one of those expansive panels, which sounds really interesting. That's in 7AB at 10 a.m. Counter to that, at 10 a.m., in room 23 ABC, you have Congressman John Lewis is going to be doing a spotlight on his March series, trade paperback March series that got a lot of critical acclaim this past year. It's also with Andrew.
Yes. I see. Yeah.
Yeah. It's with Andrew Arden and Nate Powell. Record-breaking success of the March trilogy. Push the comics medium to incredible new heights. First graphic novel to win the National Book Award, Coretta Scott King Book Award, and JFK Book Award. The first graphic novel since Moss to reach the New York Times nonfiction bestseller list. So that's an interesting thing, and I think it's just kind of neat that we get a congressman to come to Comic-Con.
Yeah.
I would love to talk to him. Like, seriously.
Yeah. That's going to be at first thing Saturday morning in room 23 ABC. Then there's another one in at 12:30 to 1:30 in 5AB. It's called Westworld Beyond Frontier Law.
I saw that one, yes.
Yeah.
Right before Winona Earp. So, can I
that's the thing. Very quickly before you cover that panel, I was actually going to bring up this entire room.
Yes.
Okay. Let's do the room.
Because
let's do the room. Because I feel like
I'm not going to go through it all, but I will just say, I'd say about 2/3 of the panels in this room, it's too small a room for these panels. You've got an official Sailor Moon panel. You've got Winona Earp. You've got Doctor Who and Torchwood Comics. Kevin Eastman with Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Spotlight on Roxanne Gay to start with. A lot of these panels, that's going to be a tough room to get into because they are bigger than that room. They are bigger than that room.
Yeah, I'm really surprised that Winona Earp is in a smaller room like that. I thought for sure they would be in like at least 6 BCF if anything, because that fandom is huge.
It is, and it's a good show too.
Show. This past Friday's episode is like, what the hell? Like it's that good.
Yeah. Very quickly, Graham McLaughlin has. Yeah, I heard you say this, and I was going to pick up on this. John Lewis has in fact been at Comic-Con before. I definitely remember he was there last year. So no, but he has been there apparently the last few years. So it's not his first time. So yeah, but no, it's great that he's continuing to return. Cool, but yeah, that the panel that you pointed out.
Westworld Beyond Frontier Law. I don't know where it fits in the day of Room 5AB. It's at 12:30. This panel, and it has and the Ninth Circuit Justice John B. Owens, co-creator and executive producer Lisa Joy, and other legal minds as they discuss the top legal questions posed in the groundbreaking show, from what corporate duties have been breached by Dr. Ford and the rest of the staff to manage the park's obligations, to the human rights of the robots or absence of their rights, to who owns the intellectual property created by the robot hosts. So it's an interesting in-depth look at how far we want to go.
Yeah, this was actually a dream panel of mine. I wanted to do this, but not so much the legal stuff, more the actual philosophical questions of Westworld, because I think Westworld for me, it's actually an important show to me. I think it asks the questions that Ex Machina thought it tried to ask and then failed miserably to do so. It just turned into a Frankenstein film. It was god awful. Westworld actually asks the questions.
And this is what science fiction is about, is breaking those boundaries. It's re-examining, the premises that we live with in the culture. Yeah. A couple of other panels too, just because it's such an eclectic day. At 7:30 p.m. In room 7AB again is Starship Troopers, Traitor of Mars. This is reimagined. This is a second episode, a follow-up to the original Starship Troopers of '97, the good one, not the ones that followed it. It's the next chapter of the cult franchise. It is CG and an animated movie, but it's written by the guy who crafted the screenplay for the original movie. And yeah, so it's and it also they also have Casper Van Dien, I believe, is going to be there too. Well, the fans will hear directly from filmmakers, including the director, produced and franchise co-star Casper Van Dien. So he's going to be there also.
Well, 7AB is going to be an interesting room generally, because you do have that image panel. You do have the science of Rick and Morty.
And then there's Legendary's Curse panel with John Barrowman and Carol Barrowman. I saw that.
Now, remember, it's not going to be the John Barrowman fireworks show that we usually have. He is going to be wanting to talk about the comic. It's going to be a little bit more sort of like calmed for John. But yeah, it's going to be that will pull a lot of fans out. But I think it's going to be interesting. If you are wanting to go see the Starship Troopers panel, I think you may. Well, I think it'll be okay, but I think there'll be a clear out after the John Barrowman panel. It's just going to be interesting, kind of like fighting through the crowd on that one. But the Image Comics panel is certainly going to fill that room. Yeah, but that's going to be interesting. Okay, well, very quickly, Natasha, is there a couple that you've spotted?
Well, it was mostly the ones that you guys have already pointed out, especially like Legendary. I did look at Dark Horse manga because I feel like I need to get into manga a little bit more. In room 9, there's the character of music for popular TV that I thought that caught my eye. And it's like you can't get a certain song or tune out of your head that you heard on TV and learn how music is added to your favorite TV shows and how it is an essential character in storytelling. So they have Dave Porter from Breaking Bad, Preacher, Kyle Dixon, and Michael Stain from Stranger Things, Eskimo from 13 Reasons Why, and music supervisors Maggie Phillips from Legion and Fargo and Thomas Galubi from The Walking Dead, Better Call Saul, as they discuss how they create and place music in their programs and how they discover talent and all that good stuff. So I thought that was an interesting panel, a little nugget that caught my eye. And everyone's becoming a critic, being a journalist. It's and it's from big, websites like Bleeding Cool, Aggressive Comics, Mohawk Movie Review, Geek Magazine, as they talk about how journalism has changed over the decades, and it's gearing towards bloggers, podcasters, and online only news sources. So I thought that would be an interesting panel, just because I am a podcaster, blogger, and just trying to get input on something like that. That'll be cool.
I need a writing 101 panel. That's what I need. If I actually had time, that's what I would go for.
Okay. Anything else that's jumped out at you? Because I've got a couple, and then we'll wrap up.
The only other thing, it would be 10 points to Slytherin, why good fans love evil characters. It's in 26 AB.
Everyone loves the bad boy. Come on.
Exactly, at 8:30. Just kind of that kind of thing.
There is also women on the dark side, creating like darker characters that are women. So there's several women that are going to be in the panel. I thought that was going to be
There's a couple of panels like that on the Saturday, actually. At 8 p.m., you've got Women Below the Line, which is talking... This is basically the Women Who Kick Ass panel that we want, but it's very much more behind the camera. So you do have stuff like Shane Fleischer from reality television production, Meredith Placo from comicbook.com. That's 8 p.m. At 28 DE. However, the panel that I think is going to be interesting, if anything, if you want to go and see a whole bunch of comics creators of all generations in the audience at 2 p.m. in 29 AB, the centennial of the King of Comics, Jack Kirby. Alan Schumer is going to be doing a celebration of the work of Jack the King Kirby, and I can guarantee there's going to be a whole bunch of comic creators there celebrating. At the end of the day, this is a guy who they pretty much rely on when it comes to the language of comics. I think there's going to be a fair few people in the room for that. But there's also the Jack Kirby's 100th birthday celebration at 1 p.m. Same drill again, but you've got a couple of people on stage as well, showcasing the artist editions that have been brought out by IDW, sorry, with Walter Simonson and Kevin Eastman, and also Scott Dunbier up on stage. So that's at 25 ABC, 1 p.m. Basically, there's a number of Kirby panels this weekend, and it's certainly something that I would check at least one of them out.
I will say, with regards to that panel, they're giving away an artist edition book. It's probably going to be the New Gods book that they're having as an exclusive. These books are $200 book, $150 books. Highly recommended. This, is one of those coveted prizes. And there also may be some special guests to this one. So it's if you haven't already checked out the Kirby artist editions at the IDW booth, and you have a few minutes on the floor, you may want to.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No,
I was going to say. Room 23 ABC. Right after the John Lewis panel is the costume design for Screen. There are several people from different shows, like Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., Black Panther, Serenity, Mystery Science Theater, like just a lot of people talking about costume design for the different shows. And I think that would be also good, I guess, for cosplayers as well, who may be even trying to get into the industry. So,
yeah. But it's also a good. I spotted that panel. It's going to be an interesting comparison with the following one as well, which is the production designer panel. So it's all about how you get what you see on screen looking as good as it does. And
then women rocking Hollywood female directors, like that like few hours there in that room is going to be a good lineup.
There's a couple of people I wish were on that panel, but There we go. Yeah, that's going to be an interesting one as well. But yeah,
And Angela Copley is talking about a particular panel, Warner Brothers Archives Monsters from Hell panel, that looks to be interesting also.
Yeah, that's in 5AB, which, like I say, there's all this stuff that's happening in that room, which I think could, yeah, I think it could just be, that could be a dark horse of a room that could have a lot. I mean, there's a lot of stuff in there which I think is bigger than that room is. But there we go. Right, one thing before we do wrap up, and I wanted to point out, there's something that is missing, certainly from the major rooms, that I thought we were going to be getting, and I thought we were going to be getting on in Hall H, and I thought we were going to be getting a Dark Universe panel. I thought we were going to be getting something from that. Universal at the end of the day have made that commitment. Admittedly, they've got some stuff that they now need to work through with the release of the Mummy. But I thought we were going to be getting the amount of programming we've got in Hall H. It seems very light in terms of actual blocks. I mean, you've only got 4. Yeah, 5, sorry. And it starts late. I'm surprised that they weren't able. I'm just wondering if it's a case of they were wanting to do something with Dark Universe, and that's just, you know, to like folded away for a bit. And then they've had to move everything up to just kind of compensate. I don't know. But I was expecting a Dark Universe panel. Just me?
That would have been nice.
It would have been nice, but maybe because of the response to the Mummy, I don't know. It's been kind of mixed with the Mummy, so maybe they need to like revamp it a little bit.
Now, admittedly, we do have. Well, no, I was going to say perhaps they could do it on the Sunday, but it does seem to be mostly television. And to be honest, you've got other stuff in there which is just going to take up the space. Supernatural, Doctor Who, Dirt Gently. It's, yeah, I was expecting that to show up somewhere, but there we go. Universal, you dropped the ball on that one. So there we go. Okay, so thank you very much indeed. I know that it's been a slightly longer one, but Saturday is always going to be the intense day when it comes to Comic-Con. We are going to be back shortly. We're going to do our show in about 3 hours' time, where we're going to be talking to Helen O'Hara from Empire Magazine, where we're going to be talking about the TBA panels, about the people that we kind of know from social media who's going to be in town. We're going to be looking about those surprises that could be showing up when it comes to certain panels. Certainly, we're going to be making some anticipations about the Fox panel. We're going to be taking a look at Warner Brothers and, of course, Marvel as well. A lot of this has been kind of discussed in depth, but we're going to, now we're getting really, really close to the show itself. We can actually have a slightly more educated guess about who's going to be in the room. We're also going to be talking about the Sunday panels, which hopefully will be released as we're on air. So we're going to have a live response to that. I don't know if Natasha's going to be able to join us for that.
I probably could. I don't see why not. It's Sunday. I'm not. I'll be trying to do my laundry and start packing, but I could, take a break.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I've got to head off and do exactly that right now. So that's why I'm going to wrap this up. Thank you very much indeed, Natasha. Thanks for coming along.
Thanks for having me.
No
I was on time today.
And thank you very much indeed, Alyssa. We'll see you in about 3 hours.
Absolutely. You can find me on Twitter. My Twitter handle is Friends of CCI, and on my website, friendsofcc.com. And where can people find you, Natasha?
I'm at Willcat12. They can find me at The Nerd Element as well on Twitter, and check out the website, www.thenerdelement.com. Yep.
And you can find me on the toilet most Fridays and Saturday evenings.
Oh, Lord.
Depends what I've eaten. Maybe it's a kebab, maybe it's a curry. I don't know. You'll see me in 3 hours. I'll talk about all about that stuff in a bit. So, guys, take care, and we'll see you soon.
Bye bye.
Bye bye.